Hi everyone. Sorry I can't be there with you today to go through this chapter, so I thought I'd record myself going through it and hopefully it can help you get started with your Jack Plus questions. So today we're moving on to 2.8, which is the highest common factor, which is a chapter all about factorizing. So what we've been doing at this point in time is we've been expanding. So we've had brackets and we're expanding them out to give us a set of terms. What we're doing in this chapter is actually going back the opposite way. And the way we go back the opposite way and get those brackets to appear is by finding the highest common factor. Now, the highest common factor, remember, is the number, the biggest number that is going to go into both of your numbers. So, looking at these examples here, now highest common factors include numbers and letters, and we'll get to the letters in just a moment. But first, let's look at our first example. So we have 5x plus 15y. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pick my highest common factor. So the biggest number that goes into 5 and 15 is 5, because 5 goes into 5 once and it goes into 15 3 times. I can't pick a bigger number than 5 because a number can't go into 5 that's bigger than 5. Now, neither of my letters are matching, so my highest common factor is just going to stay as 5. Now, what you're going to do with this number is when you're factorizing, the number that you've picked as your highest common factor comes outside the bracket. Then you're going to create what's inside of your bracket. So your first number that's going to be the left number of your bracket is going to be this number divided by this number. So you're going to have 5x divided by 5. Now remember, when you're doing that, it looks like this. So 5x, remember this fraction line just means divided by 5. These 5s are going to cancel out, and we're just going to have x left over. So I'm going to put x in my bracket. Next, I'm going to focus on this 15y. So 15y divided by 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times. So I'm going to have 3y left over. And the 3y is going to come into my bracket there. And this is my factorized expression. So I've got the 5, the x, because I divided this by 5 and I got just x, divided this by 5 and I got 3y left over. Let's do that again for our second example. So here we have some negative numbers. So my highest common factor, let's always start with the numbers. Never do the letters first, start with the numbers. So the highest common factor that is going to go into these numbers here. Now, whether you take a positive or negative number, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to take a negative number because I always like to take out the negatives if I can. So the biggest number that goes into 7 and 14, I'm going to take out negative 7 because negative 7 goes into this number and this number. Now, you can see that I have some matching y's here, which means that I can now also take out a y because both of my terms have a y. So, same as last time, the highest common factor is going to come at the front. So I'm going to have negative 7y. Now, taking this 14xy, negative 14xy, I'm going to divide it by my highest common factor. Now, we can see here that the negatives are going to cancel out. The 7 on the bottom, the 14 is going to be a 2 because 7 goes into 7 once. The 14, 7 goes into twice. And then my y's are going to cancel out, one on the top and one on the bottom. So you can see here that I'm going to have 2x left over because I've got nothing left on the bottom. I've just got that 2x left on top. And it's now positive because remember my two negatives cancelled out. So when I'm starting my bracket, 2x is going to go into my first one. Then let's do the same with this negative 7y. So negative 7y divided by negative 7y. So this one's our highest common factor on the bottom. So the negative 7s are both going to cancel out and the y's are both going to cancel out. So this is going to leave me with just 1. So negative 7y divided by negative 7y is going to be 1. And it's a positive 1 because these two negatives have cancelled out. So I'm going to be left with plus 1 for that positive 1. And that is our expression factorized. Okay, our last example. We have multiple letters here, which we can see from the A and B and the squares on each of them. Okay, let's start with our highest common factor. So our highest common factor between 6 and 9 is 3. So the biggest number that goes into 6 and the biggest number that goes into both 6 and 9 is 3. Then let's look at our letters. Now, here I have 2 A's and here I have 1, which means that the most A's that I can take out is just 1 A. I have the same situation with the B's. I have 1 B here and 2 B's here. So the most B's that I can take out is just 1 B. Okay, so this is my number now that's going outside of the bracket. So 3AB is coming out. Okay, let's start with our dividing to find what goes inside the bracket. So 6a squared b divided by my highest common factor, which is 3ab. 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 6 twice. I'm going to cross out 1b at the top and 1b at the bottom. And I'm going to do the same with a. So 1a at the bottom and 1a at the top. So I'm still going to be left with 1a up here. So this is going to leave me with 2a because I have this 2a, everything's cancelled out at the bottom. That means I'm going to be left with 2a. Okay, let's do this 9ab squared. 9ab squared divided by 3ab. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 1a on the top, 1a on the bottom gets crossed out. 1b at the top and 1b on the bottom. So I'm going to have 3b left over. So plus 3b is going to be what's left inside my bracket. Now, I also want to show you how to do this on your CAS calculator. So if you want to follow along now, you can pull out your CAS calculators. Okay, I'm going to go through this C example as well now that we've gone through it and we know exactly what it should look like. So opening our CAS calculators, if you're in the home screen, you're going to need to go into Calculate. Now, where you want to go is clicking the menu button, then clicking on Algebra, and then clicking on Factor. This is short for Factorize. Okay, now same with the expand. It'll come up with the 2 brackets and that's where you're going to type in your expression. So 6a squared times b plus 9a times b squared. Now, what you want to do is press enter and it will come up with the factorized version. Now, it's put the b on the side here, but we have the b out the front. That's okay. It's the same thing. Now, these times that I put in between the letters are actually very important because if I was to do the same thing again without the times, so if I just typed in 6a squared b plus 9ab squared, and pressed enter, see how it wouldn't factorize and I'd still get left with A's and B's inside the bracket? It's not recognizing that the letters are separate, which is why you need to put a times in between each of the letters when you do this. So whenever you have a new letter, you've got to put a times in the middle. Now, if you want to review these steps by yourself, I have got them on the OneNote. So just under here, I've put CAS factorizing, and I've got this in a step-by-step in our class OneNote. So please have a look over that. Just in case you missed it, I also have the same thing for expanding, the step-by-step on how to expand on the CAS. So please, please, please review these when you can.